There we go. Hey everybody, Drew here for Drew.Underground, back on YouTube with our fantasy football and football podcast, now no longer named the Waiver Wire because the NFL Network has something called that, so instead we've renamed this after one of my brother's fantasy football teams in our No Bench League on NFL.com called Bench Clearing Brouhaha, and this week was just that. A bench clearing brouhaha of fucking roster moves. But on that note, before I get into anything else football, joining me is the one and the only, the man that inspired the new name for this, my younger brother, Desert Nord, Rob. Hey, Rob.
Hey there.
How was your evening? Yep. How was your evening going?
Okay.
I'm just turning up the screen so the mic can hear you on the on the stream.
I'm doing all right.
Well, what the fuck number of week was it? Let me get my notes.
It was 7.
Yeah, week 7 was like I said at the top, a bench clearing brouhaha of stuff. Between primetime football being the usual what the fuck that it has been all year long. Except for this week, we ended on Monday Night Football not with like a low scoring, no offense, showed the fuck up. It was a fucking blowout. And not by the team that anyone expected to blow the other out. And we'll get into that when we get there. But on that note, we got to talk about the elephants moving around the NFL, if you will. Christian McCaffrey traded to the 49ers from the Carolina Panthers. Bro, any information on what's involved in this trade?
Well, the impetus for it is that the Panthers are dropping and trading all of their talent. They're really like dumping all their talent to other teams. They're trying to rebuild the team.
So they're shitting all their talent out to other teams then.
Yeah, and you've seen this strategy before where they stack up draft picks and they look to the future. You've seen this before.
Yes, I have.
Usually, the difference here is usually it's in a team that is screwed, a team that is destined to not even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't say the Panthers are because it's anyone's division in the NFC South. Or is it the AFC South? Anyway,
we're talking about the Panthers, so it's the NFC South. And
I was right the first time. Anyway,
the 49ers, it's the NFC West.
Yeah, the NFC South is anyone's division right now. Like literally anyone can end up as the leader. They're all almost tied. They're all like one game apart from each other. Like there's no clear-cut leader in that division.
Yeah.
So the Panthers offloading talent to everyone else in the NFL right now.
And there's also the rumors of what's his name from the Panthers possibly going to the Packers in a trade before the deadline even.
Yeah, no, they've already done 2 major trades. I doubt they're going to stop.
But I will say this: if that does happen, you'll know from me because you'll be seeing me starting Aaron Rodgers again at that point.
Yeah.
But until then, I'm going with the new starter for the Colts if I get him in the waivers in the morning. But speaking of roster moves and benches and injuries, Matt Ryan, it was announced on Twitter and in other sources by the Colts head coach, Reich, I think his name is right.
Yeah.
That Matt Ryan is benched for the rest of the season, but it was also said that he's got a shoulder injury. So is it both, or does he have the injury? That's why he's out, or is he just getting fucking benched for the rest of the year?
I think it was a combination.
No one has been clear on either one.
Yeah, I think it was a combination though because he's been playing unreliably.
Because some sources have said it's because of the injury. Other sources said, oh, he's not injured at all. He's just benched. Well, which the fuck is it? But mainstream media, haha. But anyway.
I mean, they don't have a better, as far as I'm concerned, they don't have a better option. But they're going to go with their second anyway. So good luck to them, I guess.
But in speaking of other trades, Robinson, running back, Jaguars, traded to the New York Jets for a 6th-round draft pick. However, apparently, if he rushes for, I think, like 600 yards for the season, then the Jaguars will have to give the Jets a 5th-round draft pick instead. So it's a compensatory 5th-round pick if Robinson performs at least averagely for the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Which he's only about 300 yards from that right now anyway. Because he's like right around 300 yards rushing for the season. So, to this point. So he can easily get there as long as the Jets like fucking play him. But either way, your thoughts on any of the trades, any of the roster moves before we start getting into the scores and whatnot of what happened in the season or in the week.
Yeah, the other one that was worth mentioning was that the Panthers traded Robbie Anderson to the Cardinals. That was kind of not this week per se, but there's quite a few trades that are going to happen, it looks like, right near the deadline. So
yeah, so this week, this upcoming week is week 8. So this week is the trade deadline, as far as I know, right?
No, I meant like this November 1st.
Oh, okay.
November 1st is the trade deadline.
Okay, so it's the end. So it's going into week 9. That's the trade deadline then. So the start of week 9.
Right around Halloween, 30th, 31st. That's when you're going to see a blitz of trades. Probably 7, 8 trades in the NFL.
So if the Packers are going to get a wide receiver and trade, it's going to be then at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Cobb out and everybody dropping passes for the Packers at that point. Yeah. This whole year has just been one constant mind fuck after another. The Chiefs are all right. The Bills are all right. Well, that's to be expected. Then Eagles, and you say the Vikings are the 4th best. Huh?
Yeah, I would say so. They've been on the tear.
So with that, before we get into the thing, something else to bring up. But first I want to get back to the Christian McCaffrey thing. This is going to suck for the Cardinals now. With Christian McCaffrey facing the Cardinals twice a year now. Going forward.
Well, I mean, that's if he clicks with the new team. I mean, you never know how it is. You remember we had this same thing with Richardson back in the day.
Trent Richardson,
Trent Richardson got traded. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is going to change things."
Yeah, true.
But then he fell apart because he didn't fit into their
Yeah, but to me, Christian McCaffrey's a little bit different than Trent. Trent was essentially a one-trick pony. Christian's not a one-trick pony. He can run, he can catch.
Yeah, what I mean by that is the hype was that Trent was he was a team carrying running back quality player.
Yeah.
That's what they call it. A team carrier.
Honestly, I'd be surprised.
When he got traded, he fell apart.
Yeah, honestly, I'd be surprised if Christian would be ultimately a team carrying running back. Team specific, that is. I think he's a league carrying running back based on what I've seen with him with the Panthers, but we won't know that till he actually starts doing something with the Niners either. So
well, bro, you realize what I mean when I say team carrying.
Yeah.
What they mean when they say the team carrying.
Yeah.
It's another way of saying like the Jamal Charles style running back. It's a guy that does everything. It's a guy that scores most of the points that get scored in a given game. It's the guy without which the team would have no offense. or like Adrian Peterson, for instance, when he was playing for the Vikings.
Well, in the case of the Niners, they have an offense. They just need that one piece to make it all work together. And I think that is Christian at this point for the Niners.
When you say lead carrying, that kind of goes past my point. My point is a running back that without which the team would be lost, like losing games without him. That's a team carrying running back.
That's fair.
We saw that with Marshawn Lynch as a Seahawk. We saw that with Frank Gore as a 49er. We've seen it many times where a running back becomes the cornerstone of the offense. And yeah, Christian McCaffrey is a team carrying running back. Will he be a team carrying running back for the 49ers? We don't know. But he definitely was for the Panthers.
I'd be surprised if he didn't turn out to be that for the Niners. Just saying. But
and so, I mean, you never know what happens when a guy gets traded. It's really hard to predict such things. You like to and look what's happened to Geno Smith. He sucked as a Jet, but there he is as a Seahawk being amazing.
Yeah. The Jets were not the place that he needed to be. His time was going to come, and his time is here now in Seattle when Russell moved on to the Broncos. And for whatever reason, and I believe it's because of shitty coaching and shitty play calling, that
and now Russell's struggling over as a Bronco.
Yeah, but I don't think it's his fault or the offense's fault. It's the coaching staff's fault, from what I'm seeing.
Sure, there does seem to be a lowest common denominator in that situation. And it's, the Seahawks coaches.
But in the case of the Packers, it's the receiving core. It's Rodgers and his attitude. It's the coaching staff. It's the general manager. It's not any one thing with the Packers. There's a deeper sickness with the Packers that needs to be purged. And it starts with the GM and it ends with some of the players on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, Week 7. The matchups. Let's get through those. Then we'll talk about Super Bowl halftime shows. Then we'll finish up with previewing next week at that point. So, Thursday Night Football, we had the Saints and the Arizona Cardinals. This actually was a football game in prime time for the first time this year. 42-34 Cardinals victory over the Saints. You were right and I was wrong.
That's what we call the barn burner. That was a classic barn burner.
Yeah. I had the Saints winning. You had the Cardinals, and you were right.
And I said that it would all be because Hopkins came back.
And you were 100% right. I doubted you. But the notes that I took on it were 2 pick sixes in the last 2 minutes of the second half by Andy Dalton. That's what won the game for the Cardinals, as it turns out.
Yeah, it turns out it was more of a other team losing sort of a situation.
And Christian, and this is where I took note about the Christian McCaffrey trade because it was announced during this fucking game, which kind of like overshadowed the game just a little bit for a lot of people at that point.
Yeah.
So, my words to the NFL: if you're going to announce a trade, wait till the post-game show. Don't do it in the middle of the fucking game when it's a big trade like Christian McCaffrey getting traded.
Yeah, whatever. They were trying to get everybody's attention, and they already had it, so they figured they'd do it right then.
It was a poor decision. But either way, Cardinals win 42-34 over the Saints. And I believe they were in Phoenix for that, right? Yeah, they were.
Yeah, They were in Phoenix.
After that, the next one up here on NFL.com is Browns-Ravens. Ravens getting the victory, I assume, at home against the Browns 23-20. Any thoughts on Browns-Ravens game? Which I did not.
That was another one where
I didn't watch it, so.
It's another one where a team failed to win a game, and that was the Browns.
Yeah.
The Browns have had a really, really tough year, and it's because right when they're the last moment where the team has a chance to win, they fail. Kind of like the Cowboys used to be.
Yeah.
It's where the Browns are now.
Yeah. So after that, we got the first shocker of the week. Panthers beat the Buccaneers in Carolina 21-3.
Yeah, this was a really sad game.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you don't expect Tom Brady to not get a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's kind of a bad
So
thing.
the Buccaneers played like the Packers this week.
I don't know. The Buccaneers played like the Lions this week. They played terribly.
Well, we'll get to the Lions in a minute because they're right after this next game. But the Bengals didn't just go meow. They went roar. 35-17 over the Falcons.
This is
feasted
because the Falcons defense doesn't exist. And their offense, it can only win. The team can only win when their offense keeps up.
So the joke has to be made, since it's the Bengals and Falcons, the cat was playing with a dead bird this week.
The only reason that the Falcons got in over their head was because the first 3 drives were touchdowns for the Bengals, and that's you know how that is. You get down 21-0 in the first quarter, and you're just you give up. You're like, what the hell can we do now? You know, nobody wants to face that.
Yeah,
and that's what the Falcons were facing at like midway through the first quarter.
Yeah. So on that note,
the fact that they kept it from being like an 80-0 game is actually the most impressive part, I guess, is that they actually learned how to stop them a few times. But the Bengals were just feasting. They were just feasting on a non-existent defense.
On that note, speaking of, not really feasting, but having a good time with your victim, the Cowboys beat the Lions 24-6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was going to be bad because the Lions' offense has been terrible lately, and the Cowboys' defense has been great. So this was just a thrashing. This was just a couple of Cowboys kicking the shit out of the Lion.
Yeah.
And they definitely resoundingly won the game.
And next up, one of the front runners for the NFC at this point, based on the record, Giants 6-1 now, beat the Jaguars 23-17 in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game was closer than it looked. I mean,
either way,
to my knowledge, it was down to wire. So both teams have an offense. Jaguars have struggled on defense, but they do have some of their guys back now. So I would expect them to start pulling it off a little more often now. They had a bad midway point there in the first few games. Like first 3 games they did good, and then after that they struggled, and they've come back, I think, a little bit. But the Giants have been getting better as we go.
Yeah. Eventually, and they're in the same division as the Eagles, so eventually they're going to have to face them.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa.
Yeah, the Giants and Eagles are both excellent this year so far.
Especially
the Eagles.
Yeah, speaking of division rivals, the Colts lost 19-10 to the Titans in Nashville. And Matt Ryan is no longer playing for the rest of the year, and a former 6th-round draft pick from the previous draft, not this past one, but the one before, will now be starting for the Colts. And apparently the Colts coaching staff and apparently a lot of other scouts in the league are like, this guy should have been starting already by the start of the season. Well, we'll see, because he'll be starting next week. So
the thing I gotta say about the Colts and Matt Ryan is that it's become apparent that Matt Ryan seems to have a good game every other game, and then a bad game every other game. That's just unreliable quarterback play. And he go from a resounding victory in one week, and then crushing defeat in the next with no reliability whatsoever.
I think the question of the Colts, like management and front office now, is have they learned yet to not just go out and buy the top old free agent quarterback who's basically coming to the end of his career just because it's Phillip Rivers or Matt Ryan or a guy who performed well at times like Carson Wentz, just to go, yeah, this was a bad idea, and then try it again next year with somebody else.
The Colts organization had a bad break with losing Andrew Luck to retirement.
Yeah, that fucked.
Because
they're still feeling that even now.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because that is the core reason why they've struggled
at the quarterback position
to succeed ever since, basically.
Now, will this younger quarterback that's been in their system since the beginning of last year be their quarterback for the future? We'll see. We'll see if the hype that the scouts, the Colts coaching staff, other teams' coaching staffs as well have been touting about this guy since the preseason of this year.
Yeah.
We'll see if that hype is warranted or not, and if the waiver clears for me, I'll be starting him in true football, and I'll live and die with the decision the Colts make because I had Matt Ryan, so I had to do something.
The thing I'd like to point out about like new guys is that I never like to poo-poo a new guy. Fresh legs, fresh arms. Somebody who hasn't got his chance yet, I'm always on their side because that's where the stars come from.
Yeah.
That's where the greats come from.
Tom Brady, that's how he happened.
Sure. And
Kurt Warner, that's how he happened.
There's been many examples.
Yeah.
And so this is why
those are the two that leap out to me the most.
They're going to take out the guy we've known forever and put in a guy we've never heard of before. Wow, this sucks. We shouldn't say things like that because the guy we've never heard of may end up being the guy that we praise later.
Yeah.
And we should always remember that.
That's why on paper, for me, I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I'm not saying this sucks, this isn't going to end well. I want to see where this goes before I formulate an opinion on anything with the Colts quarterback situation. Other than the only thing that I say about the Colts quarterback situation that sucks is their decision to go after free agents who aren't in their prime anymore. Rivers, Wentz, Ryan.
They're doing the old loser team habit of trying to live in the past.
Now it seems like at the moment they're giving whomever they had already in their system a chance to actually prove what they think of him at this point. By throwing him literally into the fire at this point. And we'll see if this young man is a diamond or if he just burns up like coal. We will see. At this point.
Yeah, I mean, the reason it was so bad, though, the Colts-Titans game is because essentially the Titans are a one-trick pony. They have, they've got Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry is one of the best running backs in the entire league. But that's all they had.
Yeah, they got rid of their receivers. A.J. Brown isn't there anymore. Julio's not there anymore.
No.
Right?
No.
So.
Yeah, no, he's not. And so, I mean, they've got only Derrick. And
they're
a one-trick team.
Their one-season chance to win a Super Bowl didn't happen.
Yeah. The fact that the Titans couldn't be put down by the Colts tells you how much a wreck the Colts are right now.
So speaking of wrecks, the Green Bay Packers are up next.
Yeah.
And they lose to the Washington Commanders, if you will. 23-21 in Washington with Aaron Rodgers face down like he got shot in the back from the grassy knoll.
this might have been the saddest game of the week, honestly, not because of the score, but because of the narrative. And the problem here is that every team has been trouncing the Commanders, pretty much. Like it's been Commanders getting their asses kicked week in and week out until this game came along.
Well, they did have 2 wins going into this game.
No, I know, but they were like barely wins type of thing, and which is what this ended up being, a barely win too.
Now after this game, they have the same record as the Packers, 3-4.
Yeah, the Commanders' offense is not great.
Yeah.
It's been real sad. But then you have the Packers, who shouldn't have a terrible offense, but they do. And neither team has that great of a defense either. So this is what happens when every side of the ball sucks for both teams.
Yeah, so on that note, I did watch this game because it was broadcasted here locally because the Packers are a local team for whatever reason in southeast Minnesota. So my notes on the Packers-Washington game, and yeah, that's who I wrote my notes. I don't even call them by their team name. I just call them Washington at this point because fuck the owner and fuck the Washington, whatever they want to call themselves at this point. But
yeah.
My notes are more bad officiating by the refs. What a surprise. Between blown calls, penalties that weren't there called, penalties that did happen that don't get called, and a fumble recovery by the Packers that was called back due to a false penalty. In other words, the Packers would have won this game if not for that call, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Packers find a way
to...
you know, what's that?
What I was going to say, but the other thing is that what you got to be able to do if you're going to call yourself a good Packers team, and they did it in the past, is you've got to be able to stop the other team on offense.
Yes, you do.
And they struggled with that.
And I will also add that the NFL needs to stop hiring people that are legally blind as referees.
Yeah.
But either way, the only other note I had on the Packers game was Packers find a way to lose to Washington, which is obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much the narrative there.
Yeah. On that note, speaking of finding a way to lose, the Jets beat the Broncos 16-9. A high-scoring baseball game is what we saw in Denver.
Yeah, this is one of the saddest offenses in the league right now, the Broncos.
So it was essentially the Mets versus the Rockies.
And we had a couple of different teams with struggling offenses, but the Broncos really have been bad for several weeks.
And this game was the next televised one, so I actually got to watch this. So punts, missed field goals, and more bad ref calls. What a surprise. And lose to the Jets,
Now, the Jets have had a good start on offense, but then they've fallen apart because of, a series of injuries and a series of bad breaks. But their offense is somehow right now mediocre but the Broncos' offense is non-existent. I mean, the Broncos have nothing going on offense.
Yeah, the Broncos need a clean house with their coaching staff and their front office at this point.
Yeah, and the only reason that the Jets didn't just trounce them is because the Jets are struggling on offense. If they weren't struggling on offense, this game would have been 40-.
If Robinson helps the Jets in any way, that'll take the pressure off the passing game to a point for the Jets. But then again, even number 20 for the Jets has been playing relatively well as a running back for them. So that just means that they'll have a 1-2 punch in the backfield for the Jets at that point with the addition of Robinson in the trade from Jacksonville.
And the other thing is, don't sleep on the Jets defense. The Jets defense is probably top 10.
I know. I believe I have them in True Football. So
sure, they've been doing quite well pretty much the entire season.
Yeah, so I'm not sleeping on the Jets defense. The other defenses that I had before I got the Jets were sleeping on me. Anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of games that weren't sleepers, even though I didn't get to see it because it wasn't in my area, the Raiders beat the Texans 38-20 in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So your favorite team drops it to the Raiders.
This is actually a case of a pissed off Raiders offense finally getting something going against a team with no defense. The Texans have no defense right now.
So how pissed off were they really when they were just going?
I mean, they've been pissed off in previous games. They've been bound and determined to finally win something, because it's been a real struggle for the Raiders offense. And Josh Jacobs, for instance, is the hero of this whole situation because he's been almost a team carrying running back through this situation.
Yeah, but my commentary for the Raiders offense over the Texans is this. We're going to win this game. Well, no kidding. You're playing against a dead body. Of course you're going to win.
The Texans offense is woken up a bit, but their defense is still asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, if their defense can wake up, they can actually start getting back into games.
Well, their defense hasn't been the same without Clowney or J.J. Watt. So,
yeah, the weapons have faded away into other teams and obscurity.
And even so, JJ hasn't been JJ with the Cardinals yet this year either. So.
Yeah, it's not the same Texas defense as you saw 10 years ago.
Speaking of resurgences, which is funny because we're about to talk about the Chargers next, and the fact that they lost to the Seahawks 37-23.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks are coming back without Russell.
Yeah, the Seahawks. The headline here for especially for the Seahawks is that their offense is absolutely on fire. They can almost do no wrong right now on offense. The defense needs work because giving up 23 to the Chargers is still quite a bit. But they won the game, and they won the game on offense, and it's really amazing to see how the offense of the Seahawks is always great, no matter what the lineup looks like.
Yeah. And then the last game before the Sunday night game, we got the Chiefs 44, Niners 23 in Santa Clara. Not surprised.
Mahomes and the guys just feasting again. Because the Niners defense is okay, but they can't keep up.
With the Chiefs offense, yeah.
The Chiefs offense has got to be the number one in the league, I think. Because game in and game out, they're scoring 20, 30 points, or even 40 in this case.
This is my prediction for the AFC Championship. This is who I expect to see in a Chiefs versus Bills at this point.
Yeah, the Bills is the number one, I would think, and then Chiefs is probably number two on offense.
Yeah.
The Bills have been amazing.
For the NFC, it's tough to call, but I probably, with the way the records are right now, probably as surprising as it is for even me, Giants versus Eagles for the AFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl at this point. Which I don't know if that's even possible because they're in the same division.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think it is possible because they're in the same division. One of them is going to get screwed over.
Yeah, so it would have to be them facing in the division round then, with one of them going to the NFC Championship to play.
What will happen, though, is one of them will be division leader and the other one will get wild card. And so they'll have to face them.
Based on what I'm looking at here,
wild card round to face each other in the division round.
As weird as it is, I guess I would have to go. The winner of that would be going to the NFC Championship based on the record as it stands right now to play the Vikings. Even though I would expect the Vikings to lose that because they do every fucking time. But speaking of losing, the Steelers go to Hard Rock Stadium and lose by 16-10 to the Dolphins. And that was the Sunday night game, so I did stream that live on the channel. So my notes are quarter one was owned by the Dolphins. They put up like 16 points. And the Steelers put up 10. And then the second half of the game was nothing but punts by both sides. Nobody scored in the second half at all.
Yeah. So I'm glad I dipped out when I did, because that would have been boring as all get out.
Yeah, at halftime, you will see me on camera, and it's still up on the channel, and I'm not taking it down under any circumstances at this point that I could see. At halftime, I had my head over my eyes, just sipping my beer, going, "Is halftime over yet?"
Yeah.
Because I was really tired and wanted to go to sleep anyway. But as soon as the halftime, or as soon as we got like halfway through the third quarter and it was punt, I'm like, I'm going to stick through this game till the end of it because, yeah, I don't get paid for this shit. But I have an obligation to finish what I started. So I'm going to remain here as tired as I fucking am right now and as pissed off as I am right now at that point.
Yeah, note to how rare the occurrence is of a second half where nobody scores anything. That's really rare in the NFL.
Yeah, so the Dolphins won by halftime in a close game.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the game was over at half, but not because it was a landslide, but because neither team would score anything in the second half of the game.
Yeah, because neither team decided to show up for the second half. They just throw out their special teams and go, just kick it to the other team and let them do something with it.
Yeah.
Speaking of letting your opponent do something to you, the Bears beat the Patriots in Foxborough. During the Brady era, this never would have happened in a million years. 33-14, Bears get the win. And I have lost my mind if you look at the background, because now I put up a Bears throat blanket behind me. This does not mean that I believe the Bears are going to make any fucking noise. It's just that I was born in New England. I was born a Patriot. We suck. We let this team fucking not only murder us, they took our picnic baskets on Monday Night Football and ate them right in front of us. But my notes on the Bears-Patriots game are as follows. Jones comes back from injury. So apparently Aaron Jones went out during... oh, yeah, that was Mac Jones. I was picturing Aaron Jones.
You mean Mac, yeah.
Yeah, Mac Jones. I'm like, Jones comes back from injury. He's a fucking Packer. Why did I write that down? Mac Jones. Just to get benched for Zap during the first quarter. And he immediately threw 2 touchdown passes and nothing else for the rest of the game. On top of getting picked a few times. Leading to the Bears just to the point in the fourth quarter where they could have run up the score. On fourth down, they decided to take a knee and just turn the ball over to the Patriots inside of a minute left in the game. So that was effectively the Bears just showing mercy to the Patriots at that point. We took all your picnic baskets. We ate all your food. There's nothing left, so here's the ball back.
This is the thing about this game. It looks better in the scoreboard than it does on paper.
And if you watch the game, it was even worse than that for the Patriots.
Yeah, the thing about the Bears, though, is that their lead rusher was the quarterback. And sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes it's like, why did this happen? And this is one of those why did this happen sort of situations.
Yeah.
It actually shows you how much they split the game among the quarterback and the 2 running backs. Like, there's 14 attempts by the quarterback to run the ball. Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's more than the backup running back and almost more than the lead running back.
Right.
Okay, that's really basically they're all run game, and even at quarterback, they're run game.
Oh yeah.
So this was like taking advantage of the fact that the Patriots are not as good against the run as they are against the pass.
Yeah.
Now the Patriots defense has been really great this year, but they do have that holes on the D line, and those D line holes got exploited like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was every matchup that took place during Week 7. Thoughts, concerns coming out of Week 7, other than the referees. And complaining about the referees for the millionth time. The NFL needs to quit hiring legally blind people to play referees, or hiring referees who make the right call and then just abide by whoever's on the other side of the sidelines making the wrong call for a first down, which happened multiple times with multiple teams this week.
Yeah.
And then add to it, one head coach in Jacksonville deciding not to challenge it. And then ultimately failed to convert fourth down and turn the ball over in the case of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, there are some teams that are really struggling and some teams that are just feasting. That's really what's going on.
I would say the Jaguars are struggling not because of any of their players, but because of the coaching staff, much like with the Packers and a bunch of other teams.
Well, the Jaguars are a resurgent team at the moment. They lost their game only just. It wasn't a landslide. The freaking games where there was a landslide were the Falcons game. The Falcons need to figure it out because getting trounced by the Bengals is not something many teams have had to suffer.
Except for I think the Jaguars head coach is an idiot and needs to get shit canned right now.
Well, that's what I thought about the Bears coaching.
Which you're not wrong about that too. So between the Jags, the Bears,
have never seen,
yeah.
Bro, I think it was week 5 Monday night game I have ever seen in my entire life of watching football, and the Bears should have been ashamed of themselves.
And that's another thing with the Bears. They ran the football like literally down the Patriots' throat. The complete opposite of what the Packers are trying to do, and they can't even do the opposite because nobody's catching the ball.
Yeah.
So the Packers have a better ground game than the Bears. They just refuse to use it. But the Bears know how to utilize what they got to a point. Only problem is they have incompetent coaching, much like the Jaguars and much like a few other teams as well.
See, I wouldn't even say that the Packers had the worst game of the week because, I mean, it might have looked worse than it was, but the end result was a close game.
And then the referees decided that too. So,
yeah, I know, but see, the refs only have so much power. If you give them a chance to screw you over, like some obvious situation where your secondary guys don't know how to stop roughing the wide receivers, or your guys on the O-line don't know how to stop giving holding flags to the refs, or there's a lot of ways that you can prevent yourself from getting screwed by the refs.
Yeah, that's true. But when the referees are flagging a play which there was no penalty, there's no amount of doing anything right. You're going to get flagged falsely regardless at that point. Mm-hmm. Because of incompetent referees at that point. That's what I'm talking about
we've
here.
We've seen inventing flags too, but like you were saying, it was everything.
Yeah.
Flags being called that weren't really, penalties that didn't get called, all sorts of shit. Reversals. Yeah. Just bad all the way around. But
yeah.
My point is that
this is the year of bad officiating, which can probably explain a lot of the team's records at this point.
Well, I mean, let's not put everything on the refs. It's not like the refs are just controlling the entire league here. And I mean, if they were, what the hell happened to them by being biased toward Brady? Brady got fucking BTFO'd again.
Well, other quarterbacks have had that happen where they like almost didn't get touched. Roughing the passer, how? He breathed on him. Okay.
I'm just saying they're choosing if indeed they're screwing people over, they're choosing some odd people to screw and some odd people to help.
They are.
If that's really happening. They're fucking helping the Commanders.
I've been seeing because Washington. I don't know. Don't try to figure out illogical bullshit. It's not. It never works.
I mean, I understood back in the day when they were throwing Brady and the Patriots all these helpful calls. I understand why they were doing that, or at least the period to do that. That's because Brady and the Patriots were like showtime for the NFL. Everybody wanted to watch Patriots games when Brady and the Patriots were playing. Okay, so it was a big money game for them. And so if the Patriots could win their games and go to the playoffs and all this stuff, it's big money. What the fuck, Commanders? Nobody cares about the Commanders. Commanders fucking suck.
So on that note, we're going to stop talking about something negative. And, well, there's going to be one negative side to it shortly. But before we preview the next week, let's talk about something more positive. Halftime Super Bowl shows, i.e. the best and the worst. So on that note, Nord, I know you and I discussed it before we went live, at least a little bit. So we'll start with first the worst, then we'll end with the best. So what would you consider to be the worst Super Bowl halftime show that you've ever seen?
Well, I've been annoyed by the one by the Black Eyed Peas. That was annoying as shit. Most people consider that to be one of the worst.
For me, it's this past one featuring Snoop Dogg, Dre, and Eminem.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just because the whole thing was an acquired taste and it was all about West Coast rappers. I mean, if you weren't into West Coast rap, that's kind of like you would have just turned that channel.
Which I can appreciate it to a point. And that point is, if Snoop had been there doing a song like Drop It Like It's Hot, Dre had not been there at all, Eminem did the song that he did do, and then, well, probably my favorite, even though the NFL wouldn't want him to do it, Without Me, that would have been perfectly fine. Just Snoop and M just doing those three songs and calling it a halftime show. That would have been the best rap halftime show of mainstream rappers, as far as I'm concerned. Even though my ideal halftime show is never going to happen because they're all independent artists at this point.
Yeah.
When it comes to hip hop music at this point.
Super Bowl 54 was
and I don't disagree with you with the Black Eyed Peas was a dumpster fire. You are right about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, lately, I'd say in the last 10 years, there's been like 2 good shows, and every other one's been like either mediocre, boring, don't care, or
I would say in the last number of years, before we get to what you and I consider to be the top 2, at least I think you and I can agree on what the top 2 are. I know we'll agree on the best. The most recent best one I probably would consider, and this may surprise you, but probably Lady Gaga.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was surprisingly good, and I give it that. I mean,
yeah,
it's really.
You can.
I don't know what to say other than to say that it really has more to do with her, I guess.
Yeah, you can say what you want about Lady Gaga's music, her art style, whatever. But she knows how to put on a fucking show.
Yeah, no, I mean,
there's no disputing that.
Fair, and I gotta say that
she has stage presence in spades.
It definitely wasn't the worst of the current, era. We'll say
it's probably the best of the current era.
Yeah, probably. It's difficult when you sort of have a different view of culture and politics, because if you're coming at it from a perspective of just being completely normie about everything, then you're going to get dazzled every time, and you're going to think the Super Bowl halftime show is always great.
And if you're going to come at it like, unfortunately, the way we come at things now, I don't want to see anyone taking a knee. I don't want to see any fists in the air. I don't want to see any political statements. You're usually going to get disappointed at this point in time by any halftime show. Like I was
saying before the stream, a good halftime show is like them singing to us what we want to hear, playing for us what we want to hear. That's a good halftime show.
Yeah.
If it's that, then we're cool. If it's a bunch of political BS and signals and virtue signaling and trying to make us feel bad for being different thinkers than they are, then it's shit.
So on that note, we're going to get the elephant out of the room right now, the big purple elephant who's no longer with us. The best halftime show, the dragon that the NFL knows that they can never catch again. The purple lightning in a bottle, because it was in a rainstorm, and he just happened to play Purple Rain, Prince. Best halftime show, period. There's no debates here.
Mm-hmm.
When you're playing electric guitars in a fucking rainstorm, doing Purple Rain.
It was exactly what you want to see every time you watch a Super Bowl halftime show. It's exactly the kind of thing you want to see. You want to see an artist everyone knows playing the hits that you want to hear and doing it in the most badass, brave, and excellent way possible. That's what you want to have. What you want to see at the halftime.
You want to talk about badass and brave? I remember seeing an interview from people who were like set up people for that halftime show for Prince. And some of them were apparently asking him, the forecast is heavy rain during your show. Are you okay with that? And Prince, being Prince, was like, can you make it rain harder?
Yeah.
Electric guitars, folks. And he wanted more rain. That was Prince. God rest his soul. May the purple rain rain forever in heaven.
It really was the perfect show, and I really doubt they'll ever top it. And like you said, it was lightning in a bottle, and it was something that a lot of people needed to see. I mean, it was like the final capping of. I mean, because he will remain one of the greatest artists of Western civilization. I mean, of modern times, music artists, he's really high up on the chart. And
speaking of tremendous artists, number 2 right behind.
We're talking about like he's as an individual artist, probably top 5 among everyone in terms of musical talent, vocal ability, stage performances, career length, all of it. Gone, of course. That's sad,
if you ask that question here in Minnesota, I'm pretty sure that more than 50% of the people here in this state will say Prince is number 1 because he's from Minnesota or was from here. Yeah.
He's practically, royalty, of course, in the northern tier there.
Yeah. Indeed.
But no, I mean, nationally and internationally speaking, he is and will forever be one of the greatest musicians
of all time.
All time.
Yes. Speaking of musicians and artists of all time great, number 2 halftime show of all time, and we'll wrap up this before we get into the preview of next week, talking about this one. In my opinion, this was the best before Prince. Hands down, far and away, no equal. And then the Purple Dragon appeared. I'm talking about number 2 is in 1993 at the Orange Bowl, Michael Jackson.
Sure, yeah. Another guy who knew how to put a show on. And of course, everyone knows one of the GOATs of music history. So
the top 2, Prince, MJ, and then far, far down in number 3, the best of the modern era. Number 3 would be Gaga at that point then.
Well, I mean, you do have the Rolling Stones one, which was very good.
It was good, but still preferred Gaga's.
It's just a matter of.
And right after
much
Gaga, I probably would go Bruno Mars.
And he did well, and he is another guy that knows how to perform on stage.
Yes,
for,
he does.
Millions with keeping everybody happy. He definitely does a good job of that.
When he's the headliner, yes. When he is a secondary act, which he had been for another artist, which was headlining the halftime show, he did a lot better than that artist at that halftime show too. I can't remember who it was.
Now, the most watched one of all time was what was this? 40. No, it was 44.
I don't remember what year that was.
Let me see if I can get this. It was February 2015.
Okay, 2015.
Was that 44? Am I saying this wrong? I'm trying to remember.
I don't fucking know. You're asking the wrong guy.
Anyway, it was in 2015. Super Bowl in 2015.
Okay.
Was the most watched. Now that was the Katy Perry Super Bowl halftime,
which wasn't terrible, but it was completely pedestrian, in my opinion.
If you were a fan of her, it was the greatest thing ever. But if you're not, then it was kind of just like a mediocre one.
I think I like only one song from her, Roar. That's about it.
No, I don't know what to say about her, but yeah, it's kind of a funny thing. They always garnered a lot of viewers, but number of viewers and greatness of the show are two different things.
Yeah, and we stand by what we say about Prince here on the channel. There's no catching that lightning again, because that lightning went home to be with the Lord a while ago now, unfortunately.
So there's two that we should bring up. Okay.
Yeah.
There's the most recent one, which was last February there.
Yeah.
And that was featuring The Weeknd. And I like him as an artist in general. I think he's really great, especially vocally.
If we're talking about favorite parts from the most recent one, my favorite part was Eminem performing the song that he performed from the 8 Mile soundtrack. What the fuck's it called again?
Now that was the one in 20. Let's think. Yeah, okay. The 20, you're talking about February 2022.
Yeah.
That one was the most recent one. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the one before that was The Weeknd. This is 2021. Anyway, The Weeknd's was a good one. I think Weeknd's was better than the West Coast rapper one that we just went through.
There's no disputing that, but I'm just going off of my favorite. There was only one part of the most recent one that I liked, and that was Eminem performing that song from the 8 Mile soundtrack. Why can't I remember the name of the fucking song? You know the song I'm talking about, right?
Oh, you're talking about To Lose Yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Him performing that at the Super Bowl rings true for being a professional athlete, in my opinion, or playing any sport.
And we can say what we want, of course. There's plenty to say.
Or being a YouTuber. That's a very inspirational song of his. And I'm glad that he did that one at the Super Bowl.
What I was going to say is...
what's that?
I was going to say, there's plenty to say about Eminem, of course.
Yeah.
The thing about it, though, I just point out is he is the best-selling artist of that decade, the 2000s.
No question.
And the 2010s. I should say the 20-teens. Or was it the 2000s? Anyway, the 2000s. He was the best-selling artist of the 2000s. And it really wasn't that close for second place. So he's definitely, him and his crew, so to speak, definitely deserved, including 50. By the way, that was a funny moment too. That became a meme. 50 was upside down.
Yeah, in the club. Yeah, when I saw that, I'm like,
Yeah.
I appreciate the performance of it, but 50 looks like he's a marshmallow.
Yeah, no, that's why people were joking. Like, he's no longer 50; he's 75 cents.
Yeah, I would say $1, but
yeah, he's $1 now. But anyway, there was some. It was memorable for what it was worth.
It was
wasn't the
memorable.
greatest
There
show.
was a good moment or two, but for me, the worst moment of it was when, right after Eminem performed his song, my favorite moment, he went right into my worst moment of the entire thing was him taking that fucking knee right afterwards.
Well, sure. Again, super political. The whole thing basically was.
Even though the
super
NFL
political.
told the performance, according to performers, according to reports, don't do any political gestures of any kind, and then did that. So.
Yeah, well, it's on him, and he's.
But then again, it's Eminem. When the fuck has he ever listened? The answer is never. By the way, but
he's never listened.
On that note, those are what's that?
Well, one more that I was going to mention is the next one. The next one is slated to be Rihanna.
And it's not the Pepsi halftime show anymore either. I think it's sponsored by Apple, right? It's sponsored by somebody else coming up. So it's not Pepsi anymore.
I don't know. It is going to be in Phoenix, though. I know that. The whole thing is.
Unless Goodell tries to fucking remove it. And we can get into that on Breaking Rocks because there's something to talk about that there with the potential future governor of Arizona, where you are.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But
that we don't want to get into here. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
The thing about it is, though, that I think the trouble with the Super Bowl halftime show at this point is they're running out of good acts to use. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they're running out of acts that they could have on without the public falling into outrage. You know, that was kind of what happened with the J-Lo and Shakira performance. A lot of people were like, "What even is this?" They were like, "This is the most like salacious halftime show since Janet revealed her boob." You know.
Well, I would disagree. I think revealing your tit on national TV is more salacious than whatever Shakira and
I know.
Beyonce
That's
were
why
doing,
I
but
said
still.
I'm just saying they were being pretty sexual.
Well, there's dancing sexual and whatnot. Then there's actually pulling your tit out, which completely jumps the shark at that point.
That's why I said since then, because that tops the list of like over the line. But the other thing though is that they're starting to reuse acts, and that's kind of like I'm always kind of pessimistic when they start doing that.
I wouldn't mind seeing this. If they're going to do like a collection of hip hop artists like they did last year, why not do a collection of country artists next time?
They're never going to do that.
So, off the top of my head, whom can I think of for country artists that I'd like to see do a Super Bowl halftime show collectively? Let's see. Atkins, Trace Atkins, Brad Paisley, and fuck it, Shania Twain, because I can't think of anyone else right now. You?
They had a chance to do that.
They what?
They had a chance to do that type of thing.
And obviously they didn't. Because we would have seen them by now if they had.
Obviously they didn't. And I think the creators of the Super Bowl performance shows view that entire genre of music as flyover country music, and they really don't like it at all. So
And
if they ever have any country artists on, I'd be surprised.
However, most of the United States does like it because most of the country is flyover country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know that.
Go figure. What the majority of people want to see, they don't do, and what a minority want, they do.
Mm-hmm.
They do. Haha. Anyway. They usually shit the bed with it. Anyway. But on that note, speaking of shitting the bed, Week 8 preview, if you're ready, bro.
Sure.
So Thursday night, so tomorrow night, or no, fuck, it's still Tuesday night. Fuck me. I forgot we're doing this on Tuesdays now. Thursday night, so not tomorrow night, but the next night. I had that conversation with my boss at work. I'm like, tomorrow night it's the Ravens and Bucks. He's like, wait, tomorrow night for Thursday night football? I'm like, fuck, the next night. Never mind. Because I forgot it was Tuesday. Even this morning at work. Anyway, so as I've already said, at 7:15, we got the Ravens going to Tampa Bay to play the hapless Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expecting the Ravens to slaughter Brady and the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. You?
You mean the Ravens?
Yeah, the Ravens.
The Raiders.
It doesn't matter who goes to Tampa Bay. They're going to slaughter the Buccaneers at this point.
See, here's the thing, though. The Ravens don't have much of a defense. They have a great offense, relatively. But they don't have much of a defense. And see, the problem that Brady had last week is that he struggled on offense because of the defense. Now, this game, I don't expect to be the same.
So you're expecting for the first time this year, for the second time this year, Thursday Night Football to be seemingly a high-scoring shootout, is what you're saying.
Maybe not high-scoring by our depth, for sure.
Otherwise, I got the Ravens winning this. How about you?
Yeah, but I think it'll be a close one.
On that note, we have a London game this week, 8:30 in the morning Central Time. So be ready for that if you have anyone for the Broncos or the Jaguars, because they play on ESPN Plus. That's nice. Wait, is ESPN Plus only online, or is that also on their channel on cable?
I think that's also on their ESPN Plus.
Because if that's the case, I might be able to watch this then. If that's the case on Sunday, I got to be up early then.
Yeah.
At that point, which is fine. Because it is the Broncos versus the Jaguars. So it's two teams that have struggling offenses to a point, and the Jaguars team that traded their top running back recently. So who the fuck knows what the Jags are going to do?
This one I would expect the Jaguars to win because they've got a better put-together offense. It's not the greatest, but it's better than the Broncos, and their defense is better than the Broncos too.
I'm going to pick the Broncos due to the incompetence of the Jaguars head coach. And that's the only reason.
I just think the Jaguars are going to probably do it better than the Broncos here.
They do go in both at 2-5, so you could go either way with it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of going either way, although I lean towards the visitor in this next matchup, the first noon game listed here, Panthers go to Atlanta to play the Falcons. I got the Panthers based on what they did last week and based on what the Falcons did this past week. Bro?
Well, without McCaffrey,
yeah,
I would expect the Falcons to have a better edge because there's nothing other than injury. There was never anything wrong with the Falcons' offense. It's only been their defense that's struggling and sucking.
So this could be a high-scoring game then.
Whereas
or
the
shootout.
Panthers now are trading away their offense. And I have to expect the Falcons to pull off a W here, even though the Panthers' defense is still quite good.
When you put it like that, I think I might have to agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, this one could be a barn burner just because of the mixture of circumstances.
Yeah. So to recap, we're on opposite
But I think the
sides
Falcons will win.
for the Bucks and Ravens. We're on opposite side for the Broncos and Jags, but I think we're both going to take the Falcons here then.
Mm-hmm.
Next up on Fox as well, we got Bears going to Dallas to play the Cowboys. I got the Cowboys in this one.
Yeah, the Bears have a one-dimensional offense. It's completely running game, and it's been that way almost the entire year.
And I know what some of you in the comments are going to say. You're going to pick the Cowboys with that banner behind you? Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, the Cowboys' defense is the second best defense in the league.
Yeah,
and offense can handle it.
And in some fantasy leagues, the Cowboys are listed as the best. So
yeah, it depends on scoring.
Yeah, because I think in true football for us, they're listed as the best. And the Eagles, I think, might be number 2 or something like that, or maybe 3. But speaking of games that should be completely one-sided at this point, Dolphins go to Detroit to play the Lions. Dolphins, I got, no question. Nord?
Yeah, I have no idea how the Lions could possibly win. So the Dolphins all day long on this one.
Yeah, this next matchup, I have no fucking clue who to pick on, based on the fact of what the Cardinals just did, and they're coming here to Minneapolis to play the Vikings this week. So, bro, please make a case for either team, or if you got one, make the case for the team that you're picking, because I don't know who to pick there.
Given that the Cardinals are waking up now on offense,
so like a Phoenix.
Yeah. And given that the Vikings have been pretty much passing tests all year long so far,
yeah,
this is going to be another test for them. Can the Vikings offense keep up with the Cardinals? Because the Cardinals offense right now is pretty darn good.
I can see this being a high-scoring shootout without any doubt. The only question is who's going to get the last score.
I'd imagine this would be an upset if the Cardinals can win. So I guess I'd have to go with the Vikings, but I think the Cardinals right now offense can do it. So I mean, it's really tough to make a choice here.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. So
I guess I'd have to go with the Vikings, but only because they've been doing great all year.
Of that, I'm gonna go with the Vikings too, only because I still live here. At that point. Otherwise, if I lived in Arizona, I probably would go in this situation at that point. So I guess it's regional home bias at that point. This next matchup ought to be interesting. On CBS, the Raiders go to New Orleans to play the Saints. 2-4 versus 2-5.
Yeah, this is going to be another case of nobody having a defense.
Yeah.
And seeing how high this is.
I'm only going to go with this team because I have one other. I may get a second player for their team if waivers clear as intended in true football at this point, or in no bench, whichever one it is. I can't remember at this point, but I'm going to go with the Saints only because I have a tight end for them at this point. Bro?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't trust the Raiders to win games.
Yeah. Consistently.
Yeah, it's been rough this year for them. They've lost so many close ones and so many sad ones, and then they've won some, but it was like unconvincing even when they won. Only against the worst teams have they had good success. Like the Texans right now are a mess. Last week, the reason that the Raiders won was because the Texans are a mess on defense.
Yeah, speaking of messes and unconvincing, the mess-filled, unconvincing Patriots go to the slightly more convincing New Jersey to play the Jets.
So if I may say so.
Yeah.
The only way I think I might have to pick the Raiders, but the only reason I'm doing so with the Raiders Saints game is because the Saints defense doesn't exist.
That's fair. So, as I was saying, the unconvincing mess of the Patriots go to New Jersey to play the 5-2 Jets. I got the Jets. And yes, once again, I know what you're going to say in the comments, but Drew, you're wearing a Patriot hat. Yeah, I know. Fuck off. I still pick the Jets.
See, this one I'll go with the Patriots because I think that they're going to have Zap start from the beginning of the game. But we'll see. If they play Mac, then who knows? But yeah, I'll go with the Patriots because the Patriots' defense is great, and they've been great all year. But the offense has been some here, some there. You know, they were bad to begin with, and then they got good, and then they're sort of not good again.
And then there's also the trade the Jets just made for Robinson. So we'll see if that means anything against the Patriots or not.
Yeah.
However, this next game is an absolute fucking slaughter in the making. The Pittsburgh Steelers, or more like the Pittsburgh Marshmallows at this point, go to the city of brotherly love to not feel any love at all against the undefeated Eagles. I got the Eagles.
Yeah, the Steelers, who literally have no offense
at all
or defense, and have been losing,
and they
versus the best defense in the league.
And
almost
one of the top 5 offenses, I would say, in the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a complete team in the Eagles versus a completely not their team in the Steelers.
Yeah.
This could be the biggest landslide game of the year, maybe.
Yeah.
At least on paper.
Yeah, and and during Hello Beautiful stream on Twitch last night, at the end of her stream, I was looking ahead in the schedule. I don't see the Eagles losing based on their matchups with any team until I think it was week 13, I think, when they play the Titans. That's the best team they play up to that point, based on what I've seen so far this year. So the team that I see beating the Eagles is not till late in the year, and that's the Titans at this point. But we'll see what happens. But either way, I don't see it being the Steelers.
Yeah, we're both going with the Eagles on that, and it's not close.
Speaking of the Titans, they go to Houston to play the 1-4-1 Texans. I got the Titans in this one.
Yeah, it's really a case of the Titans only have, Derrick Henry, and the Texans only have the running back there. What's his name? I forgot. It's really, these are kind of like duplicate teams.
Yeah.
Both of them struggle on defense and have one weapon on offense, essentially.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I go with the Texans just to be different. But
the fact that it's your favorite team, too.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Next up, the third to the last of the 325 games. The Washington Commies go to Indy to play the Colts. I got the Colts in this one, and their young running back hopefully making a name for himself at the expense of the team that just beat Aaron Rodgers and the fucking Packers. So
yeah, this one is an interesting one. This is 2 pretty broken teams versus each other. So I would go with the Commanders just because apparently they have the refs on their side, I guess.
But they're not in Washington in this one, so...
No, I know. But
so I would wager that it's local Indianapolis refs in this one.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, yeah, I mean, both teams have broken offenses. And what's the defense? I mean, the Colts, in theory, had a defense at the beginning of the year, but it hasn't shown much up. So I would just go with the Commanders because I throw my hands in the air on that one. I don't know. I don't have any idea, really, how that's going to shake out.
Well, between what I said about the Colts and their up-and-coming young starter here, I have also had a thing for the Colts in the past when Peyton was there, so...
No, I really would like to see, the Colts get it together again because I like the Colts,
And I also genuinely really liked Andrew Luck when he was there too.
Mm-hmm.
But next up, the second last out of the 325s games, it's the Battle by the Bay. Niners go to Los Angeles to play the Rams. Based on the recent acquisition of the Niners, I'm going with the Niners.
Yeah, there's multiple reasons to go with the Niners on this one. The Rams' defense has sucked this year, which is really sad because they came in slated to be top 10.
And they're the defending Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, and they're the defending Super Bowl champions.
Still can't believe that at this point, that Stafford got a ring.
Stafford got a ring. Yeah, that's a funny comment there. But yeah, this is a Niners win. I don't see how the Rams, with their struggling defense and kind of in the middle offense, the only thing they have is Kupp. I mean, Kupp is carrying the offense right now.
Well, he is a Kupp. You can put things in him. Haha.
Yeah, called the football, and he takes the answer.
The Kupp is carrying the offense. Well, no shit.
It's a big Kupp, and the ball gets in it quite often.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Niners, I think, have a better setup for this game, so I'd go with the Niners too.
Yeah. The last of the 325 games is an interesting one because the road team, with a 6-1 record, for some, would probably be considered the underdog in this game. So it's the 6-1 Giants going to the Seahawks to play the Seahawks.
Yeah, these are two of the higher driving offenses in the league. They are.
And based on how the Seahawks offense is playing, I going with the Seahawks to pull the supposed upset, even though they're better than the Giants. Although the record doesn't say that.
Yeah, it's all on what Saquon can do for the Giants. If Saquon Barkley can save the day, then the Giants can pull it off. But I do think the Seahawks have it together more. They've won more games. They haven't won more games this year, but they've scored more points this year than the Giants.
And the Sunday night game, I absolutely have to fucking stream this week. The Packers.
Yeah, so I'll go with the Seahawks too. Yeah.
The Packers go to Buffalo to play the Bills.
Yeah, this one's another one that you're just like, ha ha.
And I'm already wearing my Bills t-shirt, so you know who I got. On the contrary to what I've done for predictions, I'm wearing a Patriots hat. I think they're going to lose. There's Bears back here. They're going to lose. I'm wearing a Bills shirt. They're going to win.
Yeah. Do the Packers actually? A serious question. Do the Packers actually stand a chance?
Well, if the thumbnail of this stream is any indication from this past week of do the Packers stand a chance? They stand as much a chance as Aaron Rodgers was standing up at the end of Week 7's matchup against the Commanders, which he was flat on his face.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is no.
Yeah. I have to go with the Bills, and I think you're probably going to too, just because the Packers are a mess right now.
Yeah.
They can't beat the Commanders. How are they going to beat the Bills?
And then Monday night, two teams that fucking hate each other in history. So hopefully a bench clearing brouhaha in the works. Bengals go to Cleveland to play the Browns.
Yep. This is a case of
what's that?
The Bengals being a super high offense, like really ridiculously high offense right now, and the Browns being a struggling offense. So
who do you got?
It's a Bengals win for me. I'm going with the Bengals on that one.
As it is said in the Tom Grassi community or the Packcast community on YouTube, which I find myself in these days, Kitty goes meow.
Yeah.
And on Monday night, Kitty will go meow in Cleveland.
The only person that can save the Browns from losing is Cooper.
Yeah.
If Cooper doesn't do amazing things, the Browns will lose.
And then just a quick tease for the Thursday night game for the following week at the start of November. The Eagles go to Houston to play the Texans. Well, the Texans are guaranteed another loss. at that point.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to watch because the Texans already struggle on offense. And they don't have a defense.
And as every Thursday game is apparently on Prime Video or also on Prime on their Twitch channel as well. So you don't even have to subscribe to Prime Video. You could just go to Prime Video on Twitch and watch it there for free too.
Yeah.
Which is how I've been watching it the entire every Thursday game when I found that out for myself. But on that note, that's all we got. Any other thoughts and concerns and possible things that we think we might see going into or throughout the upcoming week 8?
Well, I suppose the overarching theme for the NFL, at least, is that it's starting to form up. We're starting to be able to now know who the likely playoff teams are.
I thought you were going to say trades.
Oh, well, we'll see. We don't know what all is going to go down in that regard. We're just going to have to wait until,
something else gets announced.
Probably until Sunday, if not after the Sunday slate of games, maybe even Monday. I think Monday is going to be the big day. Monday during the day is going to be when all the trades just all go all at once.
Unless they do like Christian McCaffrey and like on the Monday night game go, hey, by the way, this player and this player and this player and this player were all traded today. Well, thanks for overshadowing the primetime game that we're all trying to watch, even though it probably sucks. Because I don't remember who we said at this point plays on Monday night.
So if anything, we'll have a summary of, next Tuesday we'll have a summary of all the trades that happened. But there is going to probably be a bunch of trades that happen.
Otherwise, based on what we think will happen, I think the Panthers are going to trade DJ Moore to somebody, probably the Packers. Because the Packers need a top receiver. DJ Moore would be a good one for them. Right?
Yeah.
But beyond that, that's all I can think of is the Packers getting someone that can catch a football for Aaron.
Well, there is the Bears apparently fielding Montgomery.
Which is interesting.
Which is quite interesting. And then you have perhaps the Eagles trading for a running back of some sort.
So you're thinking Montgomery might go to the undefeated Eagles, making them only better.
And then there's Kareem Hunt. He might get traded. It looks like he very much will.
Where do you think he might land if he gets traded?
He may be the one's the Eagle.
That's fair.
But there's quite a few. I hear that I think it was it Aaron Donald? And then there's Chiefs are looking for defensive players. They might do a few defensive moves to trade for a bunch of defensive players. And then there's the Packers maybe going after a top wide receiver. There's going to be quite a lot.
Do you think we'll see a quarterback switching teams at this point through the trade frenzy? What the hell's a frenzy?
I don't know.
It's a frenzy that's crazy. A frenzy.
Then you have the Steelers. They might trade Claypool. And then there's Jerry Jeudy. He might switch teams. Brandon Cooks looks like he might be moving. There's just a lot of players getting fielded right now.
Yeah.
The Ravens might actually go after Jerry Jeudy. That would be an interesting combo. If the Ravens decide to trade for Jerry Jeudy, then he would actually be with Jackson. And that's interesting tandem right there.
Considering the two people that I watch that cover football, Brandon Perna and Tom Grassi, Packer fan, Broncos fan, what if the Packers get Judy?
Well, I guess that is possible.
It would just be Perna, effectively his fan base, trading Judy to Tom's at that point.
Now, if anything, a guy that could get traded out of the blue is Fields.
Justin Fields, that would be interesting. And quarterback, like I was talking about earlier, what quarterback do you think might get moved? But I was thinking Justin Fields. I was thinking more either Lance or Garoppolo.
Yeah,
from the Niners.
Although if they trade Garoppolo, what are they going to go with? They're going to go with Lance? I mean, really? Lance has struggled.
That's why I think that Lance might get traded. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's more likely, I think.
But then again, it's the NFL, so go figure logical ideas. Because it wouldn't surprise me if they would, hey, we traded Jimmy to the Patriots. I don't know.
Yeah, then there's Jones of the Giants.
Yeah, the starting quarterback there,
He's a candidate. But yeah, I think the most likely things are that the Packers are going to want a wide receiver, and so are the Ravens, and the Eagles are definitely going to want a running back. Those are going to be the three biggest moves, I think.
What if the Broncos go looking for a running back that doesn't fumble?
The Broncos need a whole different offensive coaching staff.
Yeah. So what if, think outside the box for a minute, the Broncos trade their head coach to another NFL franchise for their head coach during the season?
Now, the other interesting one that you didn't mention is the Patriots quarterback controversy right now with Mac and Bailey Zapp.
Yeah.
They could easily just trade Mac, get a bunch of good picks, and then go with Zapp and make Zapp.
That would make sense because Zapp, you can say what you want about the picks at the end of the game, but when he came in, you heard Gillette Stadium. It was as if Tom Brady had just walked out the tunnel in Patriots uniform going, I'm back, bitches.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the second coming of Brady, according to Gillette Stadium with Bailey.
Now, also wanted to mention is that the New York Jets wide receiver Elijah Moore, who's frustrated with the offense right now, has requested to be traded himself.
He's a possible move for the Packers, too.
Mm-hmm. They could get Elijah Moore pretty easily.
Don't know much about Elijah. I assume that he catches better than any Packers hands. But then again, that's not hard to do lately.
KJ Hamler is another one. More on the defensive side, though.
Yeah.
No. Sorry. KJ is a wide receiver. He's just a fifth string, I think, rated. He might make some noise for wherever he goes to.
Yeah.
And then there's the Rams might be throwing Cam Akers to the wind. That would be an interesting move. But yeah, there's a couple of teams that are really shopping around. So.
Yeah. So.
The other question about the Panthers is, do they have anyone left to trade?
Other than DJ? I don't. They just got Baker Mayfield, so they're not parting ways with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think DJ might be the last one. But then again, I've been surprised by shit before. Case in point, like draft day trades, like swapping draft picks in that very draft, like akin to Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning at the time. We've been surprised by shit before.
Mm-hmm.
And another surprise was, did you and I think that Christian McCaffrey was going to get traded before it happened? I'm pretty sure not.
Well, I did know that the Panthers, I saw that they traded Robbie Anderson, and I was thinking to myself, they're a team that has a chance of making the playoffs because of their division and how their division sucks. So I was wondering why they were giving weapons away. And I was thinking to myself, okay, well, that must mean that they've gone to the mode where you just sell your weapons and try to look for the future.
So who's in
why they're doing that?
That division with them? It's the Falcons, Panthers, Saints, and Bucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
and they're all essentially right there in line with each other in record.
Based on how all of them have been playing, I think it's the Saints division to lose at this point.
Well, I mean, coming into the season, we thought it was definitely Brady and the Buccaneers division to lose.
But based on how the Bucs have been playing, if the Saints don't win the division, I'd be surprised at this point. Based on how the other three teams, the Panthers are having their fire sale. The Bucs are struggling like we've never seen a Tom Brady team struggle ever in history.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Falcons, who don't even need to be mentioned at this point. So this is the Saints' golden opportunity without Drew Brees, without having like a franchise quarterback, to win a division in spite of that.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the injuries that they have, they could still win the division with like no effort at the moment. However, if the Bucs play like the Bucs, it's the Bucs' title to obviously take at that point if they start acting like a Tom Brady-led football team again at this point, which is obviously possible. So for my money, it's a 2-horse race for the top spot. If the Bucs play like the Bucs, it's theirs. If they don't, it's the Saints division at this point.
Yeah.
Because the Panthers obviously don't give a shit. And the Falcons, well, who the hell knows if they're going to win another game anytime soon.
Yeah.
Based on upcoming matchups and whatnot. But on that note, any last-minute thoughts before we close out and get into anything going on in fantasy that concerns you?
No. It's sort of just, right in the middle of the thick of it.
For me, I have only 2 concerns. My running back situation in true football and my quarterback situation. Because my quarterback situation is I have Aaron Rodgers, and we'll see if Matt Ryan is still on my roster after the waivers clear or not in the morning.
Yeah, the only concern I have this week is that I'm losing Matt Mahomes because the Chiefs are on bye.
Yeah. And
that's going to be done.
And I'm losing Eckler to bye week. And my other running back, who's not Aaron Jones, is Robinson, who recently got traded to the Jets. And I don't even know if he's going to play because of that in week 8.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be 1 starter down if that's the case. At my running back position. So in theory, would have to drop anyone, to try to get a 4th running back, which I don't like doing.
Yeah.
At that point. Because the only reason to have Robinson was for my other 2 running backs to be on bye week. Well, I don't know if that's going to work out this week or not because the Jaguars decided to say fuck you to me and to anyone that has Robinson at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That also happened to have Eckler on bye week, which
Mm-hmm.
is a very select minority, I think. But on that note, I've heard this question asked of why we do what we do, Nord. And I do want to close out with answering that question. Why are we here talking about football? Why do we do Breaking Rocks? Why do we do the YouTube thing? For one reason, to make some noise.
Mm-hmm.
We don't make money.
We
do this just to get our opinions out there. No other reason.
Well, yeah, like for posterity is what I always said.
Yeah.
Which is another way of saying just for the future, who that means.
My brother's doing this for the future. I'm doing this just to make some noise. Or as they say, or as they used to say in D-Generation X at the time, I'm just here to make a little noise.
The psychological importance of being able to express yourself should not be underestimated here.
Yeah. And that's
sometimes you just have to be able to say things.
Yeah, like shit and fuck sometimes. Yeah.
Even if no one's listening, being able to express what you're thinking is important.
Which is exactly what we got tonight. Nobody watched. But based on the hashtags, people will watch in the future, though, on the replay.
Yeah.
That much is a certainty, that at least one person will check this out. And I usually know who that is because she is usually reacting to Tom McDonald videos on YouTube. Hello, Beautiful. But on that note, on top, with that shout out done it and gone, I'm Drew. He's my younger brother, Desert Nord, Rob.
Yep.
This has been the first episode of Bench Clearing Brouhaha. How many benches we cleared tonight? That's for you guys to figure out. On that note, we'll see you guys next Tuesday. I guess we're going to do these on nights then?
Yeah, probably.
All right, so next Tuesday night, we'll be back here to go over Week 8, preview Week 9 in full, and talk about anything else that's bothering us about football at that point, or shit in general. We'll see you guys. If I don't see you guys on Twitch or on Drew.Underground Gaming on YouTube in between times, we may do Drew.Underground or Underground Gaming on Saturday. I haven't decided yet because I'm waiting for certain information to break, if it's going to break at all tomorrow or not, or on Thursday or Friday even. If that stuff doesn't break, then we won't do anything Saturday. If it does, then we'll talk about that stuff on Saturday for gaming. But until then, I'll see you guys on the other YouTube channel and or Twitch over the next hours and days. Until then, go Bills. I still don't know why I put that up. And I'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.